Hello everyone, I'm Sophie and I'm currently at Kechara Forest Retreat, Bentong, Malaysia. And this is the book that I'll be reading from, Tales My Lama Told Me, by Pastor David Lai. There. The stories within are told by our Guru, His Eminence the 25th Sam Tuku Rinpoche. Today I'll be reading chapter 21, Put to the Test, page 223. And let me share a picture with you. There you go. This is Rinpoche's guru in LA, and it's his Geshe Sultim Gelson. Chapter 21, Put to the Test. And this is a short comment by Pastor David. It is well known that the most revered teachers are those who are the most wrathful because they are actually the kindest. This kindness is because they bother to tell us, in the most effective way possible, what is wrong with us in order for us to make a change in our lives. These gurus are highly skillful in benefiting and teaching their students. So they use wrathfulness as part of their teachings and as a method to help strengthen us so that we can be prepared to deal with difficult situations and people. In this story, Rinpoche tells us how his guru was deliberately wrathful to him in order to prepare him for the long road ahead. And here Rinpoche begins. There were many occasions that my guru, Geshe Sultim Gelson, would put me in a corner. Sometimes he would accuse me of something I hadn't even done. There were times when he would scream at me in public, but I would never react negatively towards him throughout all the time I was in Thupten Darjeeling Center in Los Angeles, America. One occasion that comes to mind was when His Holiness Ganden Tri Rinpoche was coming to our center to give a Dharma talk. I was in the center with Geshe-la that day, helping to make preparations. I remember that we were really in a big rush then. We had just finished painting the main prayer hall, or Gompa, and I was arranging the placement of the statues and putting the last touches on the altar. Ganden Tri Rinpoche was about to show up any moment. Jetsun Jampel Zangpen was in the position of Ganden Tri Rinpoche at that time, and he held the highest position in the Galupa tradition of Buddhism. I was placed in charge of the altars as usual, which was a responsibility that I really loved. So I arranged the scriptures neatly on the altar, which was built in different layers that each had different cabinets with a window door. I spaced the statues out sparingly in some of the cabinets so that they wouldn't look so empty, and they would be done beautifully. That was part of my job. But when Geshe-la walked in, he looked up and screamed. It was really uncharacteristic of him to scream. He screamed, "Who put that in there?" I was incredibly embarrassed because there were so many people watching me. However, a part of me was thinking, but that was what you told me to do. Geshe-la screamed again, "Who put that there?" The other students walked away slowly. I thought they were such traitors. They were traitors because they had helped me with the chair. They had opened the cabinets for me, and a few had even handed out the scriptures to me. I was thinking about what nasty traitors they were. I had a lot of nasty thoughts at that time, and I remember thinking, wait till you guys need help, or wait till we go to Chok and you need to make offerings. I'll say I'm not available. That was the evil thought that flashed through my mind then. However, I slowly raised the finger. Geshe-la ranted, "I didn't say you could do that. I didn't tell you to do that. We don't have enough time. Ganden Tri Rinpoche is going to show up any minute now. Do you think it would look good for him to walk into the Gompa and you're up the ladder putting things in there? I didn't tell you to do that." He was going on and on. He was screaming, but he wasn't angry in a malicious way. He just seemed very anxious. I was thinking about what I have missed, and I kept asking myself what went wrong. I was only about 17 years old at the time. After 45 minutes, Gandentri Rinpoche still hadn't shown up. There were no such things as mobile phones in the 80s, and we only found out later that he was running late. Geshe-la just sat down on his throne and announced, Gandentri Rinpoche is late. My first thought was, see? I didn't dare say it, but it was there in my mind. But the moment I checked my mind and realized that I was protecting my ego, Geshe-la told us, Bercha didn't do anything wrong. He did it right. I just thought we didn't have enough time. When I was still in America, everybody called me by my Mongolian name, Bercha. Even after Geshe-la explained that what I have done was okay, I was still thinking about it. I contemplated the matter and realized that he rarely screamed at anybody, but he screamed at me really loudly that day. I think that was his way of preparing me for what I needed to do in the future. I felt that my teacher was preparing me all that time by being extra harsh with me so that I would be able to deal with all the difficult students that I would meet later when I began to teach. I recall that he was always kind with all his other students, but exceptionally strict and fierce with me, and with another nun as well. This nun is, by nature, a very gentle lady. She is still residing at the center, and she is now teaching there. That would mean that she would have been serving at the center for the last 20 years. I recall that she served Geshe-la a lot. She even has another center where she teaches for Geshe-la. And all this while, he was very harsh and strict with her. I saw how Geshe-la trained her up. A good thing was that she never retaliated, no matter what Geshe-la said to her. Now she is a Dharma teacher, and I heard that she teaches quite a lot. In fact, she even goes to a prison in America to teach the Dharma. It is not the female prison, but the male prison. Just imagine all the hardcore, tough people she would meet there. I saw how Geshe-la trained her up to get her ready for really tough people. Back then, we didn't know the reason for his strict training. It could have been coincidence, it could have been coincidence, or it could have been premeditated. Whatever it was, her strict training by Geshe-la prepared her to teach all those tough people later. We are the only two people whom Geshe-la was very strict with. Today, I'm teaching here in the East, and she is teaching in the West. He was just as strict with me as he was with her. I remember that people would even go up to her and console her when Geshe-la was very cross with her. They would tell her, never mind, Geshe-la has his reasons. We didn't know the reasons then, but it has become clear now, of course. Right, that is the end of that chapter. And reading this chapter, it makes me really think back of when I was serving in the Ladrang or serving Rinpoche. And Rinpoche is also very strict with some of his students. And he would really, he would always create situations, and then he would give us a very harsh scolding. But the thing is, after the scolding, oftentimes, all the times actually, Rinpoche, behind the student's back, Rinpoche would find out how the student is taking it, and then he would do all sorts of things to help the person overcome the scolding. It's to push us beyond our comfort zone. Because we have a lot of, even though if we are the nicest of people, okay, just for example, but we still do have our little quirks that is holding us back from our spiritual practice. And as such, Rinpoche really have to think of all types of methods to help us overcome it. And Rinpoche is so compassionate and kind in the way that he would even be very wrathful to us at the risk of us being angry or being thinking of him in a very bad way. But it doesn't matter to him because Rinpoche is without ego. So what he wants is to help us to get over, that limit that we set for ourselves. So as such, Rinpoche could be nice to some people. Rinpoche could be very harsh to some people. It depends on what method works best for that student, for that particular student. And if you do, I mean, with my knowledge of serving Rinpoche, you see Rinpoche hardly ever rest. One day he could be like sleeping only like 3-4 hours, because all the time he's constantly, either communicating with this student or that student or with the Dharma and wherever. Rinpoche is constantly always thinking of ways to help others, or having to bear some responsibility of this Dharma center. So I really do miss him a lot, because he had been really, really been the kindest and most compassionate guru. And he's never ever give up on any students, even though those who were really, well, I would say, some of them who left had been really, really nasty. And Rinpoche still always try to find out, how they are, and, say prayers for them. And if only they knew. But anyway, thank you for sharing your time with me. And I'll see you for the next sharing. So we end this with a completion dedication in Tibetan. Jangjo Senjo Rinpoche Make Panam Geyushi Ke Panam Ba Me Payang Goni Gondo Pe Washu Toni Towa Rinpoche Make Panam Geyushi Ke Panam Ba Me Payang Goni Gondo Pe Washu Daso Jini Sapa Gewadi Tadandrowa Guna Kapadang Jepa Jesu No Santrapai Tamping Impor Sa Se Sho Kewa kuntu yanda lama dan drami joki pala lo jojing sadam nangi yo terazone doje changi ngopangos dusut kewa di yododa lama sang yodroyone drowa chikya malupa dei salago pashu choki kya pusungapa josunamba pewala geki sama siwada tungi malu sangwasho dadam sengi desendan drewe songi latene gewa lo santrapai tampayo riva gyushi ni modele sendele ni mingunyandele shi ni sindatu dele pa koncho songi jingilo koncho songi ngotroso koncho songi trasi sho jeso nama kusen rap ting ching nam katrini chocho ke pada losam tempe drome sap songi droe mensa tato ni gyushi gangre rawe ko we shinkam dem bendan dewa malu go ne cherenze wan tenzing get so yi shape shiri paru ten gyushi home tompe ngotro malu pa den de dala sel do so kodan dem pa long shot na ke pa so shik shukten sel. Thank you for sharing your time with me. And sorry I got a little bit emotional just now, but I'm really missing my guru, or our guru, if you have Rinpoche as your guru too. May he swiftly come back, and we'll be all waiting here. Thank you.